Our next assignment for Project 2, again, just kind of one of the smaller ones, just to make sure you keep on track. And as you get to this final paper, a reminder, right? Your paper has to have an introduction, it has to have a conclusion. Three small components will be the history of the company, the industry that it competes in, and the company's strategy. Okay, again, each of those should be small parts. They're really just to establish some context that would lead us to the larger part of your paper, which is going to be the finances. This is a finance class, so if I'm going to break it down roughly, the intro, conclusion, history, industry, strategy should take up about maybe half your paper, and the other half should be devoted to your financial analysis. In a 5-page paper, it's pretty easy to do that math. So next, the next one that we need to talk about here, and the next one that'll be due, I think March 31st, just Thursday, is going to be your company strategy. Okay, and I'm a little picky about strategy, kind of, in my readings and the things, classes, coursework, and things I've taught and whatnot. I kind of believe, like Michael Porter, who's considered a strategy guru, taught at Harvard, et cetera, that really strategy overall, if we're talking about it in just an overall concept, is divided into three possibilities. Okay, one is a differentiator. Okay, two could be a cost leader, and three might be, and this one's a might. Okay, might be a niche or a niche differentiator. Okay, so what are some examples maybe? Well, what's Walmart? I mean, off the top of your head, what's Walmart? If you go into their store, they've got all kinds of signs up that say always the low price, right? I'm going to tell you that Walmart's not always the low price, but what I would tell you is that they do a good job of getting product, a better job probably of most or all retailers of getting the product to the shelves less expensively. Okay, so they're keeping their costs down. Their prices are generally low. I mean, across the board, I suppose if you shopped at Walmart, for the shopping cart full of things, you're probably going to be a little less than you might at some other retailers, right? So they're definitely a cost leader. Okay, who might be a differentiator? Um, in the retail area, and some of these have kind of gone by the wayside a little bit, but maybe a Nordstrom's, for example. Um, if we think of things that might be a niche differentiator, if we're talking about big retail, it might be some of those chains or franchise type stores or chain type stores, either one that deal with a specific market. I'm thinking maybe Foot Locker, right? That type of a store might be something that we would call a niche differentiator. They're not going to compete on the low price, right? They want you to come in the store and try on the shoes and do those types of things. Okay, so think about that. I think sometimes of the local small businesses. We have four pizza places here in town, I think, and one Domino's. What's Domino's? They're going to be the cost leader. Okay. Then you go to the other extreme, and many of you maybe aren't even familiar, certainly if you're not from Havre, but there's a local pizza place called Nalifka's. And old timers that have been here, including myself, Nalifka's is a differentiator. Okay. It's the quality of their ingredients. I mean, they order their stuff in that they use on their pizzas, and it's a lot higher quality, a lot tastier. Okay, but a large pizza is going to cost you $25 at Nalifka's. A large pizza at Domino's might be $9.99. Okay, so you got some clear differences there. Now to explain one other thing, so where's Pizza Hut fit in that? I'm going to call Pizza Hut probably a differentiator too, but this goes to the fact that these strategies, these three, that I've kind of presented, are not mutually exclusive. Okay, just because you're a differentiator doesn't mean that you don't try to compete on price sometimes. And so I would say that Pizza Hut, because they've got dine in and and they serve beer and they've got some TV sets in there and those types of things. They're differentiating themselves from the low cost leader, Domino's. Okay, but they're also a less costly pizza than Nalifka's. Okay, so different ways of competing. They're not mutually exclusive, so you need to take a look at it. Sometimes their annual report will tell you exactly how they want to compete and what is their what their company or marketing strategy might be. So you can take a look at that, right? Some of them are painfully obvious. I think some of the companies you guys have picked, Nike, Starbucks, a few of those should be pretty obvious how they compete, right? And then we go down and we want to talk about how does the company implement its strategy. And again, I kind of talked about the local Nalifka's pizza. I mean, it's certainly not their presentation. It's a hole in the wall type of a location, old beat down, almost looks like an old house. I think it probably was. That's right there on Highway 2, and it's not the type that would make you think high-end pizza, but they do it through their ingredients, right? And they use high-end ingredients. They charge for it. Their pizza, the recipes are obviously a little different than other places. Okay, so how do they implement their strategy and what tactics do they employ? Those are kind of complementary statements there. They kind of go with each other to give you an idea of what you're looking for. Again, at this point, you could put this in an outline form. That's fine. Use bullets, numbers if you choose. Of course, once we write the paper, you're going to be turning that into more of a narrative format. So get those in Thursday. I know we're cutting it a little bit close, but that shouldn't be that difficult. It's not that lengthy of an assignment. Along with that, keep working on your other assignments. So after this, we still have to do an outline and write the intro and conclusion until we do the final paper. I'll probably start also just taking a look at some of the finances, maybe of the companies you've chosen, just to give you an idea of how I might go about analyzing those particular companies. So thanks. Have a great day. I look forward to getting your strategy assignments.